I only really became aware of it when I was formally diagnosed when I was living and working in Spain. But it had been impacting my life to some extent prior to that, because I'd been not wanting to go out sometimes because I was feeling socially anxious, or I wasn't feeling I had lower self-esteem, for example. But it was only really when it started to impact my life to a large degree, and I was experiencing tachycardia, which were rapid heartbeat, and sometimes rapid breathing, which led to hyperventilation sometimes, and then panic attacks. So I was experiencing panic attacks on quite a regular basis, and being quite preoccupied with them because I was worrying about having another one. So that was when I started to really be aware of it, but I think it had been there from before. So yeah, it definitely plays a part in my in choosing options, not just in work but also outside of work. Should I go here, there? Should I try something new? So yeah, but I guess it's just about, for me, it's about managing, trying to manage that and trying to make sure I push myself through that lack of comfort, really. I have sought help since I recognised that I was experiencing anxiety and the depression that sometimes goes with it for me. And first of all, when I was living in Spain, I went to the doctors, and I actually thought it was a physical issue originally, because it was coming through out in physical symptoms. And when I was able to put those doubts to one side, I realised that I needed to work on my anxiety. So I was in fairly regular contact with the doctor. I have used antidepressants and tablets to help me manage my anxiety and depression, and I definitely think there's a place for those, but I also think that I like to look at it a bit more holistically, and I think there's a place for alternative therapies, but also more common therapies such as counselling and CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy. And I've tried different ones of those and tried to basically work out what works for me the best. And I think for each person it will be very different. I've spoken to a life coach and a hypnotherapist as well. So I've looked at different ways, and I think really it's just I think just trying different things, and trying things when I've learned recently that not wait until it gets to crisis point to try and put things into place and seek help, but to go a bit earlier and go, do you know what, I'm struggling. I could go a bit earlier, maybe I can handle it a bit better. So in terms of my interactions with colleagues and how I manage my life at work, I'd say that my anxiety does play a role in that, and it does impact sometimes to a higher degree, sometimes to a lesser degree, depending on how I'm feeling. But really, I like to talk about my mental health issues, because I think, first of all, I don't think there's any point in not talking about them if you're struggling, because if you had a headache, you'd talk about it. And I know that's quite a commonly said thing, but I do think there's a great importance in talking about it and talking to your colleagues about it, because there's a good chance that they're experiencing things as well. So yeah, staying optimistic and I do think talking about other things is obviously important, and at work you will be. But I do think making time for those conversations with colleagues is helpful. I think in terms of getting on with jobs and doing work and asking favours of people, asking for help and support from other members of staff, that is tricky. I think that's tricky sometimes in general life anyway. But I think if you're experiencing anxiety, I certainly feel that if my anxiety is bad, I'll find it harder to approach someone. So it's just managing that each day and trying to learn from the last time and I approached someone and realising that, you know what, it was fine, and yeah, just go in with it and trying your best, really.